All right, here are the tunes. You'll have a great show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Come with us on a journey into the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable. We will test your senses and challenge your beliefs. A world where science and religion clash. Or do they? You will meet real people and hear real stories, but you will not believe. You will witness strange sights and hear strange sounds, but you will not believe. This is the New England Ghost Project. Welcome to the nightmare.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ghost Chronicles right here on TogiNet Radio and PowerX Radio and wherever podcasts are being played. I am Ron Kolick, your host, the gatekeeper of the realm of the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable. New England's own Van Helsing. With me, my co-host, the queen of pain herself, Maureen Wood.
Hey, how you doing?
It'll be 22 years when I first said that to you.
No way.
WCCM this February, it'll be 22 years.
Wow.
When
We're old, Ron.
When I dubbed you the Queen of Pain.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. And you've been paying for it ever since.
I have been. One way or another.
Yeah. So did you get any snow up there?
Yeah, about the same as you guys did.
2 feet?
About 2 feet, a little over 2 feet, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Although my son in Pennsylvania got 3 feet.
What do you mean he got 3 feet?
They got 3 feet. He's further south.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I said.
Strange. Well, better him. Better him than us.
Well, he didn't think so.
Anyway, we do have a guest tonight. He is an author. He's also a podcaster too, and we are now going to be carrying his show on PowerX. He is Doug Owen. Doug, you there?
Absolutely.
Doug, David. Yeah, Doug, yeah, okay. Geez, Louise, I never get names right. I can't believe I got it right. And then I confuse myself. Sorry, Doug.
No worries. Pleasure to be here.
No, so yeah, thank you for joining us, and thanks for coming to PowerX with the Unholy Podcast, which we aired last night, and we're going to do an encore of it tonight.
Very nice.
Yeah, so anyway. All right, so you wrote a book. Let's start with that, I guess. And you want to give us the title of the book for us?
Absolutely. It's called The Unholy Silence.
Oh, hence the Unholy Podcast. So it's based on a true story, right?
It is. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's start a little bit with your background. Are you a paranormal believer? Have you always been paranormal?
Absolutely. I mean, there's belief, there's proof. I have both. I've experienced both. And the paranormal seems to, be almost a daily occurrence. So certainly belief, knowledge, I guess. It would be more of a knowing than a belief system.
Okay.
I looked at your. Oh, I'm sorry, Ron.
Oh, go, Jan.
I was just going to say, so Doug, I've been looking at your website, which is very cool, by the way. And you definitely have a voice for radio. So
I know he does. I'm sitting here.
Doesn't he?
Thank you.
I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I wish I had that.
So you could
coffee
do
and cigarettes,
voiceovers.
I got the squeaky farm one.
Yeah, well, I was listening to you have a little clip on your website, right? So I was like, wow, that's his voice. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that's really good. And I noticed that you said that obviously a lot of this is true to fact, that it happened to you in your family, right? The paranormal, the unholy silence. And that also you're a paranormal researcher as well, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so I'm sure Ron's got a list of questions.
I do. I know, big list. You know that.
Okay,
Perfect.
wow. So tell us some of the events and a little bit of your story with how it happened with your family.
Well, before you get into
Oh,
this,
I knew you were going to stop me. Why do you do that?
I want to know more about him. That's what I
Oh,
want to know.
okay. All right. Sorry about that,
You know,
Doug. I'm just
did
so
you-
excited to hear the
no,
story, but hey,
no, absolutely. And
we have
no,
we have an hour here, dear.
I know, but we could ask questions and dig deeper as we hear it. Just
Yes.
saying.
All right. So, Doug, first of all,
Yeah.
growing up, what religious beliefs did you have?
When I grew up, it was kind of um, just kind of a, I guess, watered down not Catholicism. It was actually Christianity. We would attend church a few years and stop a few years later. So
Yeah.
my parents weren't necessarily super religious. I mean, we were taught to, be Christians, and
You were
uh,
baptized, I assume.
I was not. I was
Okay.
not
All right.
baptized. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
not at that time.
That gives me a feel of what's going on. That's all. I'm just trying to understand. Go ahead.
Later, I was baptized by the
Oh,
Catholic
okay.
Church, but this was after, these things started.
After the
Yeah.
horse went out of the barn.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, were you very young when this all started?
No, this actually started when I was an adult, right around 30 years old.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now you can take over, Maureen.
Okay, so I was like, now can I chat?
Yes.
So, so yes, Doug. So please, I mean, honestly, I'm looking at the unholy silence. I'm like, you've got my interest piqued. So I think obviously that's how you wrote your website, right? Is to grab the reader. Um,
Absolutely.
and well done. So I would just like to know, like, how it started, maybe. I mean, were you paranormally doing a paranormal investigation, bring something home? Was it some, because I
No,
noticed there was something about saying it was a regular house. It wasn't like
just yeah,
expected.
just a regular house. So the start of this was actually, there was no paranormal activity to begin with, and it started off I started off in a confidence scam, a real estate confidence scam, where I was taken for the house I was trying to buy by
Oh,
the lender.
gosh.
So that was terrible. So I was frustrated. I was
Yeah.
angry. Of course, I spoke some blasphemies and yelled out every, nasty thing I could think of when I was frustrated. So I ended up at the Catholic Church, and oddly enough, the priest was right there waiting for me, and
Ah,
opened the doors and had a discussion with him. And he said, "Well, do you want to become Catholic?" I said, "Meh, sure, why not?"
why
So he
not?
helped me with the housing situation. And at that time, I studied to become a Catholic. And he had another parishioner who had a real estate business, who had some homes that I could move into immediately. And so I chose one in a local town in Nampa, Idaho, actually, and moved in. And we were so excited because it was a big relief. But shortly after that, that's when things started to become strange. And I had never really encountered really not that much of the paranormal before. This was kind of a shock to me that some of these things were happening.
So, what was the
Okay.
first thing that really, made you think?
Well, the first thing is my daughter had gotten into trouble at school, so my wife at the time and I sat her down and we're talking to her. We were facing her bedroom window. Her back was to the window. She was sitting on her bed. We were on chairs. And we were up quite a bit. So the top of her window is probably 12 feet, maybe. You couldn't stand outside the house and look into the window if you were a 7-foot tall man. You couldn't see in.
Mhm.
So the first thing that happened was we saw a teenage boy, bright canary shirt, strawberry hair, bowl cut, looked like a 70s kid, run across the outside of the window. And he was, we could see almost his knees. So in order for him to do that, he would have had to been probably 15 to 16 feet tall. And it shocked us. And I was just
So,
like,
your wife
what?
saw this too.
No? Absolutely, yeah. And it was clear as day. There was no mist. There was no type of phasing. There was no type of disorientation. It was 4K clear. And shocked, I jumped up, I ran, I bounded like Michael Jordan to the front door. 3 steps, I was at the front door. 3 more steps, I was at the corner of the house, and there was nothing. The fence had no gate, and he couldn't have jumped the fence. The fence was an 8-foot tall fence. Well, he might have been able to, but
Wow.
you know, at
Well,
the
if he
time
could
I
look
had
in the
a
window,
so he disappeared. Looked around the neighborhood. There was nothing. So that was the first incident there. that
was
we
the
kind of-
house in a you said neighborhood is the house in like a regular neighborhood with houses how far apart?
Yeah, built 1952, single lot homes.
Yeah.
Next
How
door
big
was
are a
more
lot?
than- Oh, it
Around?
was upstairs and downstairs. It was about 2,500 square feet.
No, I meant the lot, not the
Oh,
site.
it was whatever, a quarter acre. Yeah,
Okay, so it's a small
Yeah.
plot of land.
small land. Yeah,
I just want to
nothing-
get the visual for our listeners. That's all.
Sure, absolutely.
So, Doug, what did you think about that? I mean, I know that that has to shock you guys, especially you and your wife visibly seeing it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How did you react after when you went outside and there was no sign of anybody had been walking by?
Well, at first we just kind of dismissed it. We were like, okay, that was really strange. Or, we thought that maybe one of the we just dismissed it as an athletic kid who was, jumping or playing basketball or, somebody who was, athletically inclined. So we just kind of dismissed it at the time. But yeah, we both thought it was very bizarre, very unusual.
And it was very clear, and what you could see of the clothing was fit present time, or
It could have been anywhere from the 70s to the 80s, just
okay, get it.
just a deep egg yolk colored t-shirt.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so you guys dismissed it, and it's like, wow, that was weird, and it went on with living. What started? What next that you started?
Sure. So
get-
so next we started noticing that things ended up missing. Things were misplaced and then would reappear where we looked for them 1,000 times. The downstairs windows. Now, the house had window wells on the outside that were like full of gravel. Those old sash windows where you have to fold them in and out. They're on hinges down for the basement.
Yeah.
Oh,
And down in the basement, I had to actually get up on the washer and dryer and kneel on the washer and dryer to open and close the window. It was that tall.
okay.
So it was tough, but the window above the washer and dryer kept opening, and I would close it 10 times a day. Finally, I went upstairs, I stomped on the floor, I went out back, I kicked the window to see if the latch was defective. Everything was just fine perfectly. So jumped up there, closed the window, went in to shave and felt a cold draft. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I went out, looked, the window was open again.
Huh.
So finally, I just put 5-inch sheetrock screws into the sash. And that kept that one closed. That was the next incident there that happened. But shortly after that, my wife.
Now,
at the
still,
time-
you're not thinking paranormal now. You're just thinking weird, right?
Well, I'm thinking this is just annoying. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
exactly.
it's a 1952 built house. I'm thinking, this is old technology. The wood is old, vibrations, house settling, whatever it could be.
Mhm.
At this point, I'm just thinking it's just kind of new and okay, this is just to be expected. But the next thing is my daughters and I were downstairs, and my wife worked nights, so she would leave at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we were watching TV in the afternoon as they had their snack after school. And we heard the door open and close, clear as day, and they could hear her heels click across the hardwood floor. And they looked at each other in unison and said, "Oh, Mom's home." And then they said, "Jinx, double jinx, triple jinx." And I said, "All right, girls, knock it off, knock it off. All right, go upstairs, see your mom." So I turned the TV off and they ran upstairs to greet their mother. And they came back down, met me halfway down the stairwell. And they said, "Dad, Mom's not here." I was like, "Oh, she's in the bathroom. Go check the bathroom. Of course she's home. We all heard her." Went upstairs, looked around, nothing. Front door is locked. Chain was on. Looked in the driveway, no car. Texted my wife at the time. She was still at work. So that was kind of the second thing. On our way back downstairs to watch television to resume our
Mhm.
program, I heard a noise in the garage. So I told the girls, you go downstairs. I'm going to check this out. I went outstairs, or I went out into the garage while they went downstairs. And underneath my project car I was working on was my electric sander that was turned on and thrown underneath the car.
Oh, jeez.
So that was kind of the the first things of, okay, we've got some supernatural stuff going
Something
on
weird's
here.
going on here now, for sure.
Yeah. That 17-foot tall person is having fun.
Yeah, exactly what we thought. So at that time, we thought, it's just this harmless little boy, okay, we can deal with that, we can deal with that. I'm a newly baptized Catholic. We'll just pray about it and send him on his way. And, I had the house blessed 3 times.
Hmm.
And I had two deacons and a priest come and bless the home. And that just seemed to make it so much worse.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
So
Sometimes.
you're think by now, if that is happening, you're thinking on demonic, right?
Well, that did surface eventually, but in between there, I had a party, a welcome to the house party, a housewarming party,
Mhm.
and I had probably about 30 or 40 people there show up.
Good crowd.
And at the time, I was the supervisor of a large warehouse here in Idaho, and I invited my crew, and there's a lot of kind of rough men who moved freight all day for me.
Mhm.
Well, my daughters came in during this meeting or during the party, and they said, Dad, the front tree is talking to us. It's trying to tell us to come closer to it. If 10 men didn't drop their red Solo cups and run out the door, scouring the neighborhood. We got a guy looking under cars. We got a guy in the neighbor's yard. We've got a guy looking behind bushes. You've got, one guy running up the street, and there's nobody there. So both girls, they swore they heard a man's voice come from the tree. So that was kind of one of the other weird issues that happened.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty.
from there, it just escalated.
So escalated how?
Well, so one of the big things that happened is, I don't know if you guys know about the Catholic Church, but Mass takes
yes.
about an hour. I mean, it's almost like clockwork. You
Yeah,
go there,
yeah,
you do your communion, you get home. So
yeah. I'm a Knights of Columbus, and I'm also
Ah.
a deacon in the church. So
perfect. So we went to Mass at 9:15. We were home by 10:30, just an hour Sunday morning.
Mhm.
My neighbor was out mowing his lawn, as he usually is, and the neighborhood's pretty quiet. So we come back at 10:30, and I pull up to the house, and I notice that the front door is open.
Oh,
And I said to my wife, "Did you leave the front door open?" Well, she said no. So I pulled up, and then I noticed the garage door was open and the back door to the garage. And wait a minute. Well, all of the windows are wide open. What is going on? So I was like, all right, everybody stay in the car here. So I got out, walked up to the house. I didn't go in.
you're a good dad.
I could still see the family dog behind in the yard. He wouldn't leave. He didn't run off. He just stood there.
Mhm.
And I looked around and I heard some noise in the house. So I called the police. And police showed up. And of course, my neighbor got off of his tractor lawnmower, came over to ask what was going on. And I said, did you do this? Is this a joke? Is this you being funny? He's like, no, I haven't seen anybody. He's like, I saw you guys leave for church, but that was it. Nobody's been around. So the police go in and they come back about 5 minutes later. The police tell me that the radio for the house, this house stereo, was turned on full blast, white noise. And then they looked at each other and kind of grinned. I said, okay, what else? They said, well, nobody's in the house. I said, well, that's a relief. He said, there's no signs of forced entry. I said, okay, that's a bigger relief. They said, but we have to tell you that every mirror in your house is shattered.
Oh, wow.
I said, what?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, every mirror is shattered.
Must be a vampire.
So exactly. So I went in, of course, after they left, and they told me, well, whoever's doing this isn't afraid to escalate. So make sure you arm yourself or get new locks and a security system. I said, okay. So I went in the house and checked, and it wasn't just the mirrors on the wall. It was the dental mirrors that were packed in behind the toilet paper under the sink. It was the makeup compact mirrors that all the kids had.
Wow.
My wife
That's
had.
bizarre. Yeah.
It was every single glass mirror was shattered. So that was the first indication that we've got a problem.
So let me ask you this. By now, you've already had probably, more than your fill, right, of this going on. But have you ever had any type of, I don't know, thought process when it comes to why would all the mirrors be shattered?
You know, at that time, it was just we thought it was just mischievous or a poltergeist or a prankster or the little
Mhm.
boy. Um, Shortly after that, my daughter had been experiencing a little boy crawling out from her bed at night
Yeah.
and vomiting in the hallway. Both daughters witnessed this, and then the
Oh,
boy
God.
just seems to have disappeared.
Hmm.
So
Weird.
at this point in time, we were like, okay, so we might have multiple ghosts. You know, we might have different things. And the feeling in the house was like we were always being watched. When I would get up for work in the morning and walk up the stairs, I always felt like somebody was chasing me up the stairs. So I took the stairs like 3 stairs at a time. I never walked up the stairs. It was just that creepy, eerie feeling.
Mhm.
And, you know, things began to
That must
escalate.
be a really strong feeling. I mean, you're a, an average guy. It's enough to make you be apprehensive like that. It must have been a pretty eerie feeling.
It was very eerie, and, you know, it'd make the hair on the back of my neck stand up for no reason.
Oh,
And, you know, it was just strange, but some of the minor things that would happen, the windows would open, the TV would turn on, change channels,
mhm.
things would disappear, reappear. The
So I
kids,
look the
heard
classic stuff from a haunting, basically.
it, and it appeared to be that way for a long
Yeah.
time, so I brought in, my mentor and friend, Mark Dwyer, who was well-versed in the supernatural. You know, through his life, he's encountered many things,
Mhm.
and he brought in a woman to investigate with him, a woman who was a medium,
Psychic. Yeah, okay, yeah.
and, she claimed that a little ghost boy named Timmy was in the house, and she spoke in his voice, and she sounded like a child. It was very strange, and, she had mentioned that, there are other things in this house that don't want us here. So, things began to escalate even more.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, and people ask me all the time, "Well, why didn't you just leave? You're crazy. Why did you stay?" Well, keep in mind at the time, we had just been taken in a confidence scam. We were
Exactly.
we were broke. I mean, we barely had enough money because, you know, we had to pay exorbitant amounts of rent before when we were taken
Mhm.
and, attorney's fees and everything else, so
Oh,
we didn't really have an option to flee the house. It was the best deal we were gonna have. So we put up with an awful lot just to stay in that house.
So are you still in that house?
Oh, no, no, I only stayed for about a year, maybe a year
Okay.
and a couple of months. But yeah, things continued to escalate and,
so
get
before
worse.
you okay, because we're coming up on the break, but when you got rid of the house, did you disclose what was going on prior to it, or was that something that you don't have to do in Idaho?
You know, it was actually a rental house, so I was leasing it with the option to buy.
Oh,
So
okay. So,
there
yeah.
was no real history
Oh,
involved
that's
in it.
good.
It's
That's good.
just
Because
kind of
some certain states require certain things, depending on the state you live in. Uh,
a right.
yeah, that's extremely interesting. Did you ever do a property search in the house, or you must have when you sold?
I
Oh,
did.
no.
I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I couldn't find anything irregular. Nobody named Timmy lived there. There was no deaths in the house, nothing
Mm.
unusual, just a, straight
Just
1952, you know,
just an ordinary house.
So,
ordinary house.
so
Nothing particularly special.
what's interesting is I know that from doing investigations with the New England Ghost Project, occasionally we would remember how sometimes, Ron, we had like paranormal things happening at a house, and we find out that the owner, let's say, or the person living in the house had just been in a bar and they were having a fight, and then it's like he brought something home, right? So
Yeah.
was there anything that you can think of that potentially might have been a scenario where you could have brought an attachment home?
That's absolutely possible. Later, it was kind of revealed that things that my wife at the time were doing were kind of counterproductive to what we were trying to do as a family.
Uh,
So she would dabble in the occult, unbeknownst to me at the time. But she was looking up things online that she shouldn't have been, into demonic research and spells and the ritual Romano she was reading aloud. I found out later. So I'm not sure if it attached to her
Mm-hmm.
or if she opened a portal, if she created it, if she invited it. But it seemed to be at the end of this, we kind of all realized that maybe she was part of a catalyst for this. But since then, the paranormal has never left me. I still encounter paranormal incidents almost every day here at the house. Not as severe, of course, as what happened, and not as malevolent,
But just you're in a different house now, right?
different house. In fact, I've had 2 other houses since that incident had happened.
And
Yeah.
you still have paranormal activity.
Yeah, but once
yeah.
you're aware, I think you open up something because, all right, think about it, Ron, right? Once you are someone who believes in it and you understand it's something that is more realistic than people give it credence to, I think your brain's like, yeah, this is real, and it's easier for communication than it is prior to that.
Well, okay.
That's just my
So,
thought.
no, that is a 2-minute warning. So we still have got to wind it up. But so you sold the house. Are you
He
still
didn't sell the
married?
house, he was renting it.
Yeah, I know. I got it. But you moved twice. I got that. I just didn't come up. Are you
Third
still
time.
married? Are you still married, David? Doug?
Oh, no, I am not. I'm not
Okay.
married. No.
All right. All right. Just
Is she still having issues?
You know, I believe that she probably is. Yeah, she's had a pretty rough time after the divorce and things.
on
And,
that side.
yeah, she went on her own way, and at the time there was, I mean, the whole family shattered. The whole thing destroyed us. I mean, it was
sorry to
infidelity
hear
on
that.
her part, and it was just, yeah, I ended up with the children, and yeah, it was rough. But I did eventually, go to the Catholic Church, tried to talk to them about it.
Okay. And when we come back, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what they told you to do or what happened when you did talk to them. Anyways, you're listening to Ghost Chronicles right here on TojiNet and PowerX Radio, and we're all good podcasts are being wherever they're being. Anyways, I am Ron Kolick, your host. Excuse me. My co-host is Maureen Wood, and our special guest today is author Doug Owen. And we're brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts. The Gallant Messier Family Law Group, 50 High Street, North Andover, Massachusetts. Our very good friends on Ghost Chronicles Radio 1 Patreon, like John in the chat. And yeah, so also our good friend Leslie Smarden's Reiki Infused Candles on Etsy, I believe it's said.
Etsy,
Did I say that?
you're close.
Anyway, we'll be right
That's
back.
fine.
We'll be right back after the following messages.
Do you have a paranormal event, book, or something else you want people to know about? Then why not advertise it on Ghost Chronicles Radio? With over 150,000 downloads a month, get your message out to an audience that's interested in the subject. We have a plan at a cost that fits your needs. For more information, contact Ron Kolick at anyghostproject@comcast.net or call 978-455-6678.
Located in Illinois, there lies a sleepy little town where nothing is a common occurrence.
You going to that party in town tonight? Heck yeah! I only turned 18 once.
That is until the night of celebration.
Where the hell is she? Oh no. No, 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 Jessica! What's happening?
From the creators of Shadowhunters, Bite Me, comes a tale of primal terror and grindcore mayhem. Shadowhunters, kill, Jessica, kill!
Oh, are you reading me? Come in. Hello? Greetings from the Shadow, and welcome to Shadowzine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
We're back.
Yes, we are. I am Ron Cole, and that was Maureen Wood, and she still doesn't know how to take us back.
Oh, because you don't give me the list of anything, so I'm sorry.
Yes, but anyway, special guest today is Doug Owen, and he's an author and podcaster, and a fascinating. Doug, I have to tell you, this is truly a fascinating story. The book must be amazing. Where is it available, Doug?
It's available on Amazon, Lulu, pretty much worldwide, anywhere. Barnes & Noble. You can pick up the book anywhere at all. Just Google author Doug Owen, and I've got like 4 Google pages of listings, so it's pretty available.
Excellent. So, it's a fascinating story. I've heard a lot of, doing this for over 22 years, but this is a little bit different than anything I've ever listened to before or heard before. So I find it fascinating. I'm going to have to get that book myself. So anyway, so you went to the Catholic Church, as you were saying before the break, and what transpired when you approached them?
So I went to the deacon after a Wednesday mass service. It was like 7:00 at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, look, we've got the problem with my daughter's window. It keeps opening. I called the police. There's been some things going on. And, he said, well, your house has been blessed. I said, yeah. He said, well, you should probably, get a gun or something. I said, well, I've got a shotgun. I'm 250 pounds and I've got a Rottweiler in the backyard. I think I'm pretty secure. And he said, well, what are you saying? I said, well, I'm telling you that no man is opening my daughter's window. This isn't happening because of a human being. And he looked at me and he said, well, your house has been blessed. No evil can exist where God's love is. I said, you know what? Screw it. I said, I was furious at that point. I was like, okay, you know what?
You should be, by the
I'm
way.
embarrassed. Forget it. Forget I said anything about it. I'll take care of it on my own. And I walked away.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. And we went immediately home, getting my daughters to bed. Got the little one to bed all secured. My older daughter, who was about 11, 10 at the time, she wanted a drink of water. So I said, okay, well, come get a drink. I grabbed one myself. You go jump into bed. And here, put this little ceramic Jesus statue by your window. And, we'll go ahead and put it there for protection. Those little ceramic Jesuses you buy at the Catholic store. So she put it on the window, ran back out to give me a hug goodnight, and then ran into her bed. And as I'm getting my drink of water, I hear her scream. Well, Michael Jordan again. I bounded like 2 steps into her bedroom. And she's huddled in the corner, shaking. The
Oh.
Jesus statue is completely destroyed, crushed, and her window is open. So I take 5 sheetrock screws that are like 6 inches long, and I screw them through the sash into the through the sill,
Mhm.
and make sure that that window's not going to open. So I was like, "There you go. You're all set. You're good to go." So she gets tucked into bed. I leave the room. No less than 30 seconds later, she screams again. I run back in there. The window is completely torn open. The sheetrock screws are still sticking out of the window with chunks of wood where it had been ripped open.
What the?
And
Yeah, that's crazy.
there was no noise. And that's the terrifying part about
Yeah,
it.
that's the thing I was thinking about. You didn't hear that? That's like
No. These things happen. There's no noise behind it. They're all silent. Unless they throw the sander under the car or stomp across the floor.
Mhm.
Whenever these things happen, there's an eerie silence about it. And it's just not able to be heard. And I don't know why.
So how long ago was that, Doug?
This would have been in 2008,
Okay.
2010. Yeah, 2008 to 2010.
Whew. Yeah. Yeah, so what was the final thing that drove you from the house?
Well, this one is a good one. So
Doug? Doug?
I think someone's messing with his phone.
Doug? We lost him.
Yeah, I think he lost maybe the
I think I'm
interest.
back. Yeah, we had a little glitch there. Can you
Had
guys
a
hear me?
glitch, yeah.
Okay.
That's
Perfect.
lovely.
Well,
Perfect timing.
nothing like suspense, right? To build
Yeah.
up the story. So
Perfect.
here you go.
Timing.
Did the ghost
is-
get him? They tried and silence him. What happened to him?
Unbelievable. All right,
All right.
so what drove you from the house?
Okay. Well, so I had decided to have a little Christmas party. I had won an award that through my work. I was being recognized as one of the Cambridge Who's Who for 2008. And so we decided to have a party. And during that party, I was going to have some music. And back in those days, the technology was where you burned a bunch of CDs and then just played them, throughout
Oh,
your
yeah.
house kind of a thing. So I was doing that. I had a couple of friends come over. A friend of mine, Meg, and then her friend, Josie. I had never met Josie before. Meg, I had known. My wife at the time knew her. So this is after school, after I had gotten off work, and my daughter had come home. And she came downstairs and asked if, I wanted pizza. And I said, well, first of all, this is Josie. You haven't met Josie before. This is my daughter. And she asked if everybody wanted a pizza. I told her, no, I'm good. Didn't want a pizza. I'm perfectly fine. And the other two were like, yeah, I'd love a pizza. I was like, well, they're just little Totino's pizzas we picked up from Costco, nothing special. And she said, okay. So she went upstairs. She says, okay, got it. So I'll make 2 pizzas. So she ran upstairs. So we continued to talk about music selection and, what everybody wanted to listen to. And I continued doing that. About 40 minutes later, I was like, well, it's kind of odd that she's not around. So I was starting to worry. And just as I started to, she came downstairs with the pizzas in hand, like a waitress balancing these dishes.
Mhm.
She came in, handed Meg her pizza, handed Josie her pizza, but she had a third one in her hand, and she started walking towards me. And I told her, I said, okay, no, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need one. I said I wasn't hungry. Almost like she couldn't hear me, she continued to walk. I said, hey, I'm good. Did you hear me? Beth, I'm good. Don't come near me. I'm good. She kept coming. She walked over in front of me, crossed right in front of me, put the pizza in front of me, kind of diagonally, but like reaching to almost like face to face. My face was probably less than 2 inches from her. And she gave me this toothless, sickening smile. And I looked into her eyes, and I could tell that that was not my daughter. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I had lost all strength for a moment. And finally, as she stood there smirking and just smirking at me, I screamed with everything I had. I screamed so loud the window shook.
You
I
actually
yelled
screamed?
so
Yeah.
oh, I did, right in her face. I was terrified. I didn't know what it was,
Yeah,
but I
I get
didn't
that.
want it to touch me. That's all I
Mhm.
knew. So, as I bellowed, and Josie flipped her pizza over, it scared her so bad, and her hands jumped up in a reflexatory action. I screamed at her to get away from me. "Don't touch me." And she didn't blink. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. Now, this is a 10-year-old girl who
Mm.
is a good person who never disobeys. I never have to really raise my voice. You know, if I were to, like, yell, they would be in my kids would be in tears on the ground because I can yell extremely loud. And didn't even phase. Backed away slowly, keeping eye contact with me the whole time, with that sick, toothless grin. Moving away almost in slow motion, intentionally moving slow, and keeping that smirk on her face. Walked by, through the door, upstairs. Josie pulled out her phone, not knowing me, and was calling 911 to call police because, what she just witnessed was like abuse. You can't scream at your kids like that, and threaten your kids. But Meg calmed her down and said, "Hold on. I know Doug. I know his children. They would never act like this, especially meeting new people and company in the house. Those kids don't do that. Something is wrong." They said, "Well, you've got to go upstairs and fix this." I said, "I am too terrified to move."
Oh,
So it
wow.
took me 20 minutes to get the courage to go up and see what was going on. I was terrified. I had never been scared like that before. And I told them, I said, "Look, whatever that thing was, that was not my daughter." So we went upstairs. We found my daughter passed out in her bed asleep. We
Hmm.
shook her awake.
Wow.
She had no memory of meeting Josie, no memory of cooking the pizzas or what she was doing for 40 minutes. She has no memory of being downstairs at all.
So
The
it was
last thing she
possession, but
remembered.
Do you think maybe it was a doppelganger and not
It
your daughter?
it could have been. It could have been. There's other people friends of mine, who have claimed some very bizarre encounters with, like, myself that,
Mhm.
I simply know didn't happen, at least in my timeline.
Right.
But, yeah, my daughter remembered the last thing was getting her backpack on at school and getting ready to walk home, which was just a couple of blocks away from the school.
Hmm.
And that was it. To this day, she cannot remember it. But whether it was a doppelganger or a possession, whatever it wasn't phased or afraid of me. But I felt like after the year-long battle, because this was towards the end,
Right.
and I felt like, you know what? This thing has learned how to play chess, and it just checkmated me.
Hmm.
I am not willing to sacrifice my daughter, so I stepped off the
Right.
battlefield.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't blame you.
Well,
Yeah.
I have to tell you, Doug, when you state that or you talked about that happening years ago, I had something similar happen, and that, um, you know, demon, negative energy, whatever, came into a room. Now, my husband, I wasn't married yet. I was up in like a third floor apartment. He had some guys, he went off to go working, and it was a day that was like dark and dreary, and it was a house that was having all kinds of haunted, let's say paranormal activity at the time. And this thing came into the bedroom. Now, I always used to say something to my husband, like, you need to be responsible. You can't be going hunting when, you're supposed to be working. We're supposed to be getting married. You have to be responsible. And this thing came in the room and looked like my husband. And he was dressed in hunting gear, like to just poke the bear, right? And I could feel though something was wrong. And when it walked over to me and I was in bed and it leaned down and its eyes were right next to mine and like hovering over me. And that's when it was like blackness, like there was a look in his face. And I realized this was not, you know, my husband or the man I was going to marry.
Mhm.
It took me I mean, it felt like forever, but it was only a few minutes before I could actually move because I was so terrified. Um, it was that, when your body freezes. So when you said that, it actually brought that memory to the forefront of my mind. And that's why I said, is it a doppelganger or someone like demonic trying to take over the visual image of your daughter?
Mhm. It could be.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing because of the circumstances, you really don't know because he never saw the beginning or the end, only saw the middle.
Right.
Right. So, he saw his daughter go up. That was the last he saw of her. But yeah, we don't know. And
You
then,
just don't know. It's hard to
yeah,
say.
yeah, right. I mean, we've run into doppelgangers before. I mean, when we were in Gettysburg, we rented the little thing you thought you saw
I
me.
thought it was you.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
And it wasn't. You were in another totally different room, yet
Different
you were in a
floor.
room to my right, digging through
Different
one
floor,
of the
actually.
packs. I'm like, okay, that's messing with my head.
Mm.
But yeah, it's in it. They look so much like the person that it really does take a moment for your mind to kind of adjust.
Mm-hmm. So Doug, what possessed you to write this book?
Good words, Ron.
Well, I tried to write it for 20 years, and I've been trying to tell a story, but every time I would try, the door would creak or the door would slam or there would be a cold draft, and it would just kind of deter me from it. I was like, okay. Later on, I forget about it and just continue on with life and deal with the everyday mundane and just the minor little paranormal stuff that happens here. But finally, I decided to finish this project and went back and talked to everybody who was involved in this because I had several witnesses to different events,
Oh, cool.
and they all remember it exactly as I remember it. So they corroborated all the stories, and if I didn't have witnesses, I wouldn't have believed it happened. Happened a
Yeah,
while
I
ago.
mean,
You
it's
kind of
so it sounds so bizarre,
it's just fantastical, and it's like, really, is this stuff really happening? And
Hmm.
one of the biggest things is that when you're haunted, there's a kind of shame that goes along with it, kind of embarrassment. You don't advertise it. At best,
True.
you're crazy. At worst, you're damned. So you kind of keep it to yourself, like,
Oh,
what
what
you
did you do?
well, that exactly. And they go to the clergy and they tell you, that there's no evil in your house and three
Yeah, that
blessings
I
should
mean,
be enough.
I can't get over it. I wanna make a correction too. I said I was a deacon. I didn't mean that. I meant the steward. Um, but yeah, that's unconscionable, that he did that. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, but
Well,
Ron, I mean, I know that you recall going into Boston, right, with the woman who had the triple decker or the double decker
Yeah, I
home,
totally
and
understand that.
that
Yeah.
whole scenario she went to the church and they told her she was crazy, that she should see a psychiatrist, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
So,
think it's
yeah,
not
that's
just that it's the church. I think it's obviously the person or the priest that you're speaking with,
no,
whether
no,
they
no.
have,
The church has certain policies as far as exorcisms, if that's what we're talking about. And before you can have an exorcism, you have to go before a board. You have
yeah,
to
you got
go
to get
to a
approved, right?
psychologist. You have to give. Yeah, it's a long process. And just because you have a house blessed, it doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, a lot of these exorcisms, a great deal of the exorcisms require a long periods of time before there is a result. So yeah, it's not go throw some holy water around. It's just like the
Right.
spiritual thing. You're like, oh, go sage your house and everything's cool. No, it
Oh,
doesn't work that way.
and you can make it worse.
Right? Exactly. So, and which is what Doug was telling us in the beginning when he
Right.
started doing it. So yeah, Jack, I wanna thank you. That I mean, to share that story is simply amazing, and we're certainly glad you wrote that book because it sheds a whole new light on, what's going on in haunted houses. Most people think, "Oh, it's got a ghost or something. Now I'm gonna talk to it with my flashlight or
right, right.
whatever," it's there's another side that's a little darker and you
Well,
just
some
don't
people
know.
think it's a pet,
Yeah, yeah,
not
but what
to be
people have
cruel or crude,
yeah,
because it's
well, I'm
just
talking
like,
about
wow,
paranormal investigators too, yeah,
yeah, it's just exciting until you realize maybe it's not.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So, Doug,
exactly.
do you do investigating? Is that
I
something?
do. I do.
Yeah,
I have since then. Once my daughter grew up and became an adult, I was no longer afraid. And for a long time, I stepped away from the Catholic Church. I just
yeah,
stepped away. In fact, the priest came to me after my daughter's incident, after I kind of backed off the Catholic Church religion, and
mhm.
I turned around, he was right there. I was like, "Oh, hi, Father. What's going on?" He's like, "Well, I heard you might have had a little bit of issues going on in the house. Is everything okay?" And what did I do? I lied my ass off.
Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, it
I
worked.
said,
Yeah,
"Oh, we had a little hiccup, but we're good. We're fine." And, I lied. He's like, "Okay, good." Tapped me on the shoulder, walked on to the other parishioners. But it was simply my because I fought this thing for a year, and I had holy water and crucifixes buried in every corner of the yard, above every door, and I couldn't win. And I just did not have faith in his
Yep.
ability to take care of this at the cost of my daughter. What if it got worse? What if it attacked my other daughter?
Mhm.
Those were the things going through my mind. So yeah,
Yeah.
to my everlasting shame, I lied to my priest.
Well, who wouldn't? In that
Wow.
scenario. So let me ask you this, Doug. When you did leave the house, um, did you do anything to kind of keep that and the entity or the demonic energy away, or to not follow you, or was it just that from leaving you think that broke the connection?
Fine.
Well, we discovered as I was cleaning. So my wife had abandoned us at this point. She was having an affair and had left before I left the home. So it was just about a week or so before I moved out with my daughters. And we had help coming in to clean and everything. And we found notebook papers with strange spells written on them. We found crystals tucked neatly into the corners of the windowsills and bags of stuff that looked like ritualistic things like that. So, it could have been my ex-wife had invited these things or done some kind of back assward spell that might have invoked it, but
Mhm.
I didn't do anything to it. I just left the house because everything had fallen apart. Everything was breaking. My marriage, my faith, everything I had built was just being destroyed. So I didn't really think about it. But of course, like I said, there's some minor things that have been happening since then. And now I started a company. Authentic Haunted is my business where I procure and sell and curate haunted objects as well.
Oh,
So,
so you're a glutton for punishment. That's
well, if you can't beat them, they say what? Join them?
No, that's
no, no, no.
Well, not
you know,
exactly. So, yeah, but, I've investigated the Queen Mary and
yep.
the Winchester Mansion. I've investigated those alongside some of the haunted places here in Idaho. There are quite a few.
Mhm. Yeah, so you really, as far as your paranormal's really piqued your interest in that, you wanna know more about it? Is that why you investigate these places, or why do you?
Absolutely, and I don't really back then, I had fear. I protected my family. I was
Mhm.
like, "Yep, we're not doing the religious thing for a while." Now that they're grown up, it's like, "Okay, well, let's go for round 2." This time I'm wiser. I know more. I've done more research and studies. I'm no longer afraid. I'm more curious about what this is. Are
Mhm.
they simply the spirits of deceased loved ones? Is it part of a alternate reality? Is this another version of ourselves just screwing with us?
Mhm.
We don't know.
No, we don't. That's
But
the
the big
million-dollar
thing
question.
that I'm trying to do now, sorry to interrupt, but
Oh,
what I'm doing now is I'm shopping for the media rights. I want to make this into a limited TV special, streaming special, or a full-length feature film. I think it would be rather interesting to tell that story.
oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, you should be able to, broker that to, at least Netflix or something like that, if anything. I would think that is a fascinating. I know that a haunting would swallow that up thing because that's what they do. But yeah, it's definitely worth. I mean, I'd watch it. Tell you the truth, because it's a great. Well, not for you, but
Right.
let's say a interesting story.
An interesting
Very,
story. Yes.
very interesting. Yeah.
So, Doug, if people want to get a hold of you, if they have haunted objects to sell, if they want to get your book, if they want to, invite you on podcasts or ask for the rights to your book, well, where can they do that? Where can they reach you?
Absolutely. So my official website is authordougowen.com,
Mhm.
and they can reach me through there. Or I have 9 social media accounts that I run: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Oh, God
I'm
bless
in
you.
8 in all of those. So I run those as well. Plus, I have the Unholy podcast that's now going to be featured on Para X, and
Yay!
I'm very excited about that.
I
Very
am
excited.
too. I am very excited. I listened to the first one. I thought it was great. So I can't wait for more. So I want to thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Doug.
No, it's
And
my
I want to
pleasure.
tell you what you should do is open up a school for voice. Voice.
Do voice coaching.
voice
Do a
coaching.
voiceover.
Ron wants to sign up. You know
wanna-
that,
oh,
right?
you know I do. Although I have to admit that that's how people recognize me. Can't tell you how many times the people say, "I recognize that. Are you Ron Coley?" Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Squeaky firm. Uh,
No, it's just I don't know that you could pull off the baritone,
yeah.
the deeper vocals.
We got to go. So, Doug, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to carrying your podcasts on ParaX.
Always my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Good night, everyone. God bless and stay safe.
Good night. God bless.
Keep the shovel handy.
From ghoulies to ghosties,